Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. We're back with the FIA Manufacturers race at Fuji in the Group 4 cars. So for this race, we're obviously driving the Jaguar Group 4 car. First race today, managed to put ourselves in pole position with a fairly solid lap, 1:39.7. We decided to go with a different approach to qualifying. We pulled away from everyone else and stayed out of the mayhem in this qualifying session, and it actually worked out really well. A lot of cars at the back of the grid didn't even get qualifying in because of the chaos, so it worked out really nice. Starting from P1, I decided to put the softer tyres on. Now the reason I did this was because I believed On Phase would have done the same thing because he did it in the previous race. So the idea was we could pull away from the Alpha 4C that's behind us, because that car's probably going to be starting on the medium tyres, and if we can pull away from that Alpha 4C, we might be able to make this strategy work. However, we all know about the strength of the slipstream currently. This strategy might not work out. This was going to be a very risky strategy to start for race 1 of the day, but we thought we'll go with it and see how this race gets on. You know, some big points available in this first race of the day. So behind us On Phase, giving his tyres a little bit of a warm-up in the mirror there. We're going to go off and see if we can just break away. Now the problem with this is, currently on Gran Turismo, in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people's opinions, as we have a big moment out of turn 1 there, is the slipstream is too strong. It's not only too strong, it's too far away that it activates. I think they need to work on a different type of system, whether it means going back to the old slipstream of 7 temps. I think that would be much better. But this race really did highlight an issue that even starting on the softer tyres in a power car, it was nearly impossible to break away from a slower car down the straights that's got medium tyres. Now obviously the advantage is that the Alpha 4C obviously has very good handling, so that car can gain speed even on medium tyres compared to softs on the car we're driving now through the cornering sections, and that is where the issue comes from. You can see trying to push quite hard on these soft tyres. Obviously the fuel is quite heavy at this stage, but you can see in the mirror we're not really breaking away from that chasing group, who are, it was pretty obvious they'd be starting on the mediums. It was a way to go. We knew this from practice. We knew it was risky, but I just thought we'll give it a go and see how it pans out. See if we can make it work. You can see On Phase clearly going with the same strategy as me. You can tell by how aggressive his car is through the corners. That Mustang, obviously a very similar car to the Jaguar. They're probably two of the closest cars in Group 4 in terms of the way they handle, top speed, acceleration, etc. So that Mustang was always going to be very strong. We decided not to defend this inside because if we did, I didn't want to battle too much. You can see that he's going to go for a move. I decided to just let him go, and then we can tuck in his slipstream, try and work together rather than fighting too much. So we're going to tuck into his slipstream, and we can see that delta behind the 7 temps, but then through the corners, obviously that Alpha is going to obviously gain on us quite drastically, especially through the corners. You'll see how much it can actually, even though they're on the harder compound tyre and our tyres are very fresh at this stage, we're not able to really pull a gap through these type of corners. This is obviously because the Alpha 4C is a very strong handling car, and this is why I think a lot of people have picked the handling cars this season, because with high tyre wear and the current slipstream, it seems to be massive benefits to the handling cars. Now these power cars, yes, you've got straight lines where you can overtake on, but if you've got the situation where you've got an insanely strong slipstream, these handling cars can just pit so much earlier, put a fresh set of tyres on, get a massive undercut, and then they're just going to pull away through the cornering section. And with the tyre wear, that's just going to get better as the race goes on, compared to the power cars like Mustang, Jaguar, etc. However, at the moment we're still in P2, so we've got everything to fight for. However, you can see looking in our mirror that we are just not making any progress away from these handling cars behind us. We've got an NSX, we've got the Alpha, and I think we might have a Porsche Cayman there as well in the background. But you can quite clearly see as we go down the main straight now, you can see that the delta increases. We are obviously pulling away down this straight. Like you would expect, the Jaguar and the Mustang should absolutely destroy the Alpha down the straights because of the difference in the way these cars are. Obviously we're in the power cars, they're in the handling cars, but it's not really pulling enough away. As you can see, we're going to skip ahead now to lap 5, and you can see the problem is this is as close as we got to breaking the slipstream, about 1.2 seconds, 1.1, and then every time we get to a braking zone or a handling section, they're just going to gain on us. And another problem we've got now is that we've got B-Racer behind us in the NSX. B-Racer currently one of the fastest drivers on this game in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion, making very good progress with his speed, and the NSX in a slipstream is quite a strong car. So we're pretty screwed now at the front, myself and Unfazed, but not much we can do about this. We've dragged them along for quite a fast finishing time by the looks of it, because they're getting the benefits of soft tyres on this opening stint, but they're obviously on medium tyres, so it's going to be a bit of a problem for myself and Unfazed during the second stint, because through the corners, if they go in early to the pits, which is very likely because they're much better on tyres, they can probably pit on lap 6 or lap 5 depending on what car they're in, and then put them soft tyres on, get a massive undercut, and then be so far ahead that we won't even be in the slipstream. So you can see Unfazed clearly pushing. I'm trying to push while trying to save the tyres as well, because I know that we've got to do 7 laps at least on the soft, because if we try and do 8 laps on the mediums, they'll have nothing left on that final lap. They will be completely shredded to bits and we won't have any grip, and we need to have some grip towards the end to stay with any possibilities of people that are on the soft tyres, etc. So working our way down the straight, you can see we're going to stick into Unfazed slipstream again, using that draft to try and drag us back up. But what you can see behind us is we have created a gap in the field between, I think it's P5 and 6 or something like that, as we skip ahead to the end of lap 6. And what you're going to see is now is the NSX is going to go for that undercut. So look in the mirror, you're going to see B-Racer shoot off into that pit lane and go for that lap earlier. So he's on the medium tyres, you're going to see the medium tyres pop up on screen there. So he's been on their mediums on that first stint, and you can see everyone following suit with that early pit stop. So they're all in the pits nice and early. They're going to put the soft tyres on and try and go for a massive undercut, and this is where it can all get a little bit of a problem for the strategy that myself and Unfazed is on, because we're on the very worn soft tyres now. They're going to be putting fresh soft tyres on, and they're going to probably pick up a 1 to 1.5, maybe a 2-second undercut from the Mustang. Now we could have pitted then technically and put the mediums on, but with the fact that Unfazed hasn't pitted, if I would have done that, I would have probably just benefited Unfazed in terms of slowing them down maybe for half a lap, and they probably would have got past me anyway, and then we would have struggled at the end, and it would have been pretty much a nightmare situation. But you can see we're going to fast forward all the way to the pit stop phase. I'm going to go in this lap. Unfazed actually stays out for an extra lap, which I didn't expect, and we come out the pitch. You can see looking in the mirror, and look, we've been undercut massively, and you can see also TRL Lightning there hasn't pitted yet, so he's going to go for a no stop with the McCann, because he started right at the back. He didn't manage to get his qualifying lap in because of the chaos at the start of qualifying, and this race has gone pretty much downhill. What you're going to see now is through the handling sections, we just can't keep up with medium tyres on this Jaguar, because we're already losing pace through the corners anyway. We cannot keep up with the speed that the Alpha and the NSX and the Megane can take. Even though Lightning is on worn tyres on that Megane, it can still just carry so much more speed through the corners, and we've pretty much lost that slipstream already. You can see it is gone, and at that point our race is pretty much over. There's not much to fight for. We're down in P5, and at this point I know that we're going to have to race again, because this strategy has clearly not worked in this race. We're going to have to try and go with that medium tyre for the first stint and see if we can make it work as we skip through to the end of the race. You can see into P6 position, having to fight off a Lamborghini behind us, driven by Giorgio there, going over the line. It's not the worst result, obviously, for a first race of the day. We pick up P6. Now, that some people would possibly take the points that we got, but there was no way at this combination I was willing to take them amount of points. P6 just was not good enough in my book for this race. So second race of the day, we went for exact same strategy. This time Lightning got his qualifying lap in. I didn't hit quite as good lap. You can see there 2 tenths off what I did in the first race. Starting from P3 though, which is quite a good position to be in really, as we can now utilise that double slipstream and really concentrate on our tyres. We're obviously 4 to the rear bias this time. We're on mediums to start with. We're going to go to halfway in this race, 7 laps, and then try and do 7 laps on the softs at the end. Now, obviously, there wasn't a massive amount of fuel saving needed in this race, but you can see myself using Mixture 6 there. You just had to do a bit of short shifting all the way through the race in the Jaguar just to get to the end. The advantage of, obviously, the Citroen in front, that car doesn't use any fuel, so he literally would be fine on fuel. However, straight line speed is a problem for the 2 cars in front of us, but we're not going to do anything stupid here. We could have actually gone for a dive there, as Devil decides to warm his tyres up very late. Decided against that. It would have been a bit silly. Let's keep this race nice and calm through turn 1. One thing you don't want to do is ruin anyone's race on turn 1, and just get ourselves into a rhythm in this race. We're obviously starting on the medium tyres compared to the first race where we started on the soft tyre. This is going to feel a little bit different, so just trying to get used to the car again now we're on mediums. and see what we can do, and just try and hold on to the pace of the cars in front. Now it's pretty clear that Lightning and Devil are both going to be on the medium tyres and on phase this time. After what that first race happened with the soft tyres, I don't think on phase was going to risk starting on the softs again. It was just a pointless strategy, and this is one thing it's disappointing. This slipstream is kind of getting rid of strategies in a way, because if you do start on soft tyres, you're just giving benefit to people behind you. It's not, especially in Group 4, maybe Group 3 and some other cars with the, with more dirty air, like Group 2 and Group 1. Yeah, there is benefit to starting on the softs. You can break that slipstream and pull away. However, in Group 4, there isn't much dirty air, and the slipstream is so strong that you just sit behind the car, gain so much time down the straight. It is pretty pointless to start on the softer tyre. You're just ruining your race basically. So this race, we're on that medium. We're going to see what we can do. Sitting in the slipstream to Devil, we're not going to try anything stupid. We're going to do a bit of tyre saving. What you'll see is we're not going to overdrive the car through the corners. So we're not going to push that throttle down maximum. We're going to try and coast it through some of these corners and just try and save them front tyres. Now the Jaguar uses up the front tyres a lot more than some of the other cars. It's not the worst car on tyres, obviously, but it's not the best. It's one of the quite front tyre heavy cars in terms of the tyre wear cars. Obviously you've got the MR cars that tend to look after the tyres, the FR cars that tend to look after the rears reasonably well, but quite aggressive on the fronts. But it's nowhere near as bad as obviously you've got the TT and the FF cars and the four-wheel drive cars, which are quite aggressive on that tyre wear. So it's in the middle somewhere, but it's definitely not one of the better cars. But as you can see, looking at the replay camera, again, just holding on and trying to stay with these groups in front of us. Now, through these sections, it was not the easiest task to stay with the likes of the Megane and the Citroen through these corners. But we're doing a good job utilising the strengths of the Jaguar, trying to keep it nice and smooth. You can see I'm not running too wide. I'm keeping the car very smooth at this point, and this is going to help our tyre wear. Trying to really look after the tyres, make sure that we don't overdrive it, because when you start overdriving these Jaguars, getting aggressive with the car, that's when the tyre wear starts to become a little bit of a problem, and you will start seeing that tyre wear affect your telemetry. You'll see it on the telemetry, the fronts will start dying off and you'll have no grip. But at the moment, we're driving solid, we're in P3, trying to just stay with this train at the moment, and then if we get to a situation where we can make any overtakes at the end, that is where we'll go for it. At the moment, Lightning looking very strong. You see almost breaking the slipstream. However, as you can tell, there's no way he's going to pull away down the straight. The Citroen in front of us, quite strong in the slipstream with them 7 gears, is just going to pull all the way back up as we skip ahead to lap 4. Nothing really major happened for a few laps until we get to this moment. We're going to jump on board and have a little look at Lightning through it. A 4-wheel drift all the way through the corner. Massive moment for Lightning there. Nearly wipes himself out there. Just about saved it. A very good catch by Lightning there. And actually very well done to maintain speed through the corner and hold on to P1. He was very lucky. That could have been race over for Lightning if he would have drifted all the way around and had to rejoin the track, etc. I think his race was close to being over, but he got away with that one and still in P1. So a little bit lucky, but also a lot of driving skill to catch that on that 4-wheel drift and stop himself running all the way out wide or spinning the car 360. But yeah, it's 4 laps done. Lightning gets away with that one. We're still in P3. The Citroen in P2 is now probably going to go for a move on Lightning. You can see he's got the run on that Megane. The Megane cannot defend down the straight from the Citroen, and we actually could have probably done a dive here, but I decided there's no point doing that. We're just going to sit back and take it nice and easy. We're a bit too far back. If we would have been within a tenth, we might have tried to throw it up the inside, but from 4 tenths back, it's a little bit too aggressive. I think you need to be within about a tenth or so, a tenth to 2 tenths to go for a move up the inside, but we were nowhere near there. We were 4 tenths back in the braking zone. So just trying to really look after our tyres. There's no point taking life out of these tyres by braking really aggressively. That is where you're going to kill the front tyres. So in really heavy braking zones, when you slam them brakes down and really aggressively, as late as possible on the brakes, that is what takes a lot of life out of the tyre. So if you just use the slipstream to your advantage, lift and coast, let it coast into the corners, brake nice and gently, that is going to save your tyres. As you can tell from the screen at the moment, we're on lap 5 on these mediums, and they actually look pretty good. Our front and rear tyre wear is not that far off from each other, and that is what you want. You want the car to be balanced, and at the moment the car actually feels really nice to drive. You can see it through the corners. we are obviously losing a bit of time to the cars in front through the corners, but that is expected. We'll gain our time back on the main straight and pull back 3 or 4 tenths, because the Jaguar is so much stronger on straight line speed than the likes of the Megane and the Citroen. But you can see now Lightning looking very strong right behind the Citroen now. Should be able to go for a move into turn 1. The Megane, not the slowest car in a slipstream, especially with this current slipstream. It will be able to go for a move. You'll see right behind this draft. Is he going to go for a move? He's going to wait until probably the last moment, because if he pulls out of that slipstream, whether he'll have enough speed to actually get past the Citroen is nothing. So he's going to wait very late on. You can see waiting, and then finally into the braking zone. Brakes nice and late, tucks inside to the apex. This is going to help us out now, because it's going to give us Devil's slipstream that's in front of us, and now we've got that nice solid toe to drag us along all the way through to the pit stop phase. So again, looking at that replay camera, you can see that we've got a bit of a gap between P4 and P5. Whether that has broken the slipstream or not, I'm not 100% sure, but there is a little bit of a gap there. You can see it looks like it is just ahead of the slipstream. Now that is the McLaren, I think, in P5, driven by TRL Adam. We know how good that McLaren is in terms of tyre wear. We've driven it a lot, and also in terms of straight line speed when it gets in the slipstream. Now this track, I think the McLaren was actually quite strong around here, as all 4 drivers pushing through there. We all pretty much nearly ran off the track, but just got away with it there without picking up dirty tyres. I'm not sure if on phase might have gone a little bit too far. He might have a little bit of dirty tyres through here, but again, keeping it nice and smooth. This was a very tricky corner to get right. Too early on the throttle, and you can go wide like Devil did in front of us, but again, I think he just got away with that by bringing his right hand tyre onto that curb just in time without picking up dirty tyres as we work our way onto the final section of the track. Very technical section. Try and keep it nice and smooth. This was so important for the Jaguar to be smooth through here, to look after them tyres as we work our way onto the straight. Now, was Lightning going to go? I kind of thought Lightning would pit early, because the Megane could easily do 8 laps on the soft tyres. There was no issue for the Megane in terms of that. I wasn't sure if Devil would have followed him. I personally probably would have followed Lightning if I would have been Devil, because the Citroen isn't the worst car on tyres. It's not as good as the Megane, but I think it might have benefited him. But it's a very risky strategy as we fast forward this lap now. Obviously, you're not sure where you're going to come out of the pits. You could come out in a massive amount of traffic and be slowed down massively. So this will be interesting when we pit. Where do we come out? Will Lightning have gained a massive amount? Obviously, we're on the medium tyres now. So if Lightning has come out in clear air, that soft tyre undercut will be worth a little bit more than what it would normally be, because he's going to be on the soft, we're on the medium, so probably minimum 2 seconds of that, and you can see that straight away. Look at Lightning. He's obviously come out in clean air there, and he's massively gained. He's gained about 2 to 2.5, maybe 3 seconds out of that undercut. So Lightning looking very, very strong for the win in this race now. So benefit for us is that the Citroen in front of us now, he's on softer tyres, but he hasn't got the slipstream, so he's going to have to push a lot more through these corners to give himself a bit of a gap onto the main straight, and that is going to probably wear out his tyres a little bit faster than what he would like. And for me, I'm in the slipstream, so I'm still concentrating. You can see I've moved my brake bias all the way to the rear now for this soft run. We're going to really concentrate on looking after them rear tyres, being nice and smooth through the corners and gentle on the brakes. Again, it's so important not to overdrive the car through these fast corners, and be gentle in the braking zones, and try and make this Jaguar last 7 laps, and that is not an easy task, I can tell you, as we skip ahead to the end of lap 9, the start of lap 10. You can see we've managed to do quite a good job so far. The tyres are looking pretty nice. We've got quite a few laps to go though still in this race. You know, a lot of stuff could happen. We've got a problem now in front of us, is that Devil is about to overtake Org. Org has not pitted yet in this race. I think he's possibly going for either a very long stint on the medium, so I'm not sure whether he's going for a no stop or what, or just trying it out, experimenting. But he's in P3, and we've got soft tyres, and we need to get past this now. We need to get past Org as soon as possible. You see Devil has got through. Now the thing is, if Devil manages to break that slipstream, that is going to be a very bad news for ourselves. You can see through the handling sections, the Citroen will be so much stronger, so we really need to try and stay through. So we're going to try and hang it around the outside of Org. Now this is a very, very risky move. Can we manage to hang it around all the way around the outside? Org gives us the space that's required. Very nice driving for Org. We brake as late as possible. Now we've got on face taking a very tight line through the left hand corner. Is he going to try and out drag us? He's not going to be able to get that move done. We're into the slipstream with Devil, and just about made that move work. Very close to losing the slipstream, but now we're going to have to push to try and make sure we do not lose the toe through this technical section. This is the type of section that will benefit the Citroen that's in front of us. As we see Lightning up ahead, pretty much in control of this race now. There's not much we can do to fight that, but what we need now is to make sure we do not make any mistakes on this final section because if we do and we lose that slipstream, it could be a disaster. You can see trying to make sure we get a solid exit there, doing that corner very nicely and staying within 1 second, 1.1 seconds. And now we need a strong exit from the final corner on the power nice and early, upshift to third gear, and now we've got that slipstream. Devil is going to try and go to the right to reduce it. However, now that he hasn't got a slipstream of a car in front, we're going to gain at least 3 to 4 attempts on this straight, and that is a good thing for us in the Jaguar, because now we're going to be able to get closer and closer and closer, and then we can just try and hold on to the slipstream and look after our tyres till the very end, and maybe go for a move if we can get close enough on the last few laps. Who knows what could happen in this race. But again, into the braking zone, Devil hitting the apex nicely, and we're going to just try and push on now and stay with him for the next few laps. So we're now going to skip ahead to the end of lap 12, the start of lap 13, 2 laps to go in this race, and you can see we've managed to maintain very good pace, and we're getting very, very close to Devil in the braking zone. So we're going to brake nice and early. We're not going to risk that. We're too far back there. But Devil does go very deep into that corner. Seems to be struggling on the brakes into that corner. So I was aware of that. And that is good for us, because now we're on the penultimate lap. If we can get as close as we can to Devil on the final straight, we can possibly go for an overtake on the final lap. This could be extremely close. We've got Unfazed right behind. I say Unfazed, but it's not his name anymore. But that's his old name, but I still call him Unfazed. You've got him right behind us in that Mustang, looking for a way past us while we're trying to stay as close as possible to Devil at the same time. This is very close racing on these last few laps in this race. We've also got Tiara Adam in the slipstream in that McLaren as well, right behind that Mustang. So we've got 4 cars battling for the P2 in this race. This is extremely close racing. Just look at that. All 4 cars battling for P2, looking for some big points and trying to get a good result out of this race as we try and stay as close as possible to that Citroen through this section. This is where we need to be right behind him. We cannot afford to lose too much time. We need to be within 7/10 of him going onto the back straight to be able to possibly go for a move into turn 1. So you can see really pushing now. Tyres are really starting to struggle for grip. This is coming to the end of the soft stint. We've done an amazing job on tyres though. Looking after these to get 7 laps out of the Jaguar and still maintaining good pace was quite a hard task, but we've managed to do it very well so far in this race. And now we've got that slipstream down the main straight. Are we going to be able to go for a move on that Citroen? Just look at the speed difference now. This is the slipstream again. It is too strong, I know that, but yeah, we're going to take advantage of it. Go down the left hand side, and now we're going to have to be very tactical. And now I could see that Devil was braking late, so I decided to brake a bit earlier, downshift the second lane, briefly put it into first gear. You'll see first gear quickly just to get a bit of rotation on the car. Devil outbrakes himself. We took up the inside and now into P2. This would be an amazing result for the Jaguar if we can get a P2 from this race with the high tyre wear. We'll be absolutely over the moon with picking up some very big points. So now we've got to try and just keep the car on the track and not let Unfazed, who's now in P3, managed to get past us anywhere on this lap. You can see Unfazed has got that slipstream. We've got no slipstream. Our tyres are crying out. Trying to make sure that we brake for these corners in plenty of time. The one thing we don't want to do is make a silly mistake on this final lap and throw away some very big points. So now we're coming through to the very technical section. This is going to be vital to hit every single apex, hit every single corner, get every braking zone correct, as you see going through there, keeping it smooth, running to the curb, not overdriving it. Again, we don't want to make any mistakes. Braking down to second gear. Is Unfazed going to go for a move through here? We can see we do that very nicely there. We get a nice exit from there, and we take that very tight line. We don't want him thinking about going for a move there. He goes for the wider line, but he's got to be very careful of Devil behind him going for a move also, as we now come through to the final corner. Will he go for a move here? No, he's going to go for that very wide line and try and get very strong exit speed, as we also just try and get on the power nice and early, doing it very nice again, pulling over to the right hand side of the track. Will he be able to get the slipstream? It doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it, with the Jaguar obviously very strong down the straights. So will we be able to get this second? It looks like we are over the line, and we've managed to take P2 in this race. Some very nice points to take away for Jaguar. So I was extremely happy. You can see in that bottom right hand corner, I think a bit of the Spa, like the annoyance from the Spa race has come out there as we pick up over 300 points. I think we actually pick up 344 points. Let's just take a look now as we take that P2 and the points add up there. 344 points for Jaguar. Some very big points there for Jaguar at this race with that high tyre wear. 100% happy with that. I hope you enjoyed that race thoroughly. I thoroughly enjoyed being involved with that race. It was really clean, that second race, really tactical, and a lot of good tyre management, and I really drove a really good race, I think, in my personal opinion. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscription button and hit that notification button so you don't miss any future videos or streams when we go live. Thanks again for watching, everyone.